during the parenting sessions. Whenever one of those sessions, I just mentioned that, do you really think parenting is a 20-year project? So one of the parents actually told, who told this, Pratima? It's not a 20-year project, it's a lifetime project. So parenting is a lifetime project, my dear friends. So one is that mentally get prepared. There is no end for it. And whether you have whatever you call it as a normalcy, because I don't believe in the normalcy and abnormalcy as such. So you will have to, every kid needs help. That's the fact. And that is the truth. And why am I so strong in saying this is, when we are in the counseling aspect, I encounter personally so many different various challenges that the child comes up with, what we generally put it as a general category, kids, etc. You will not even think the way that they go through the stress and anxiety management and the way they are not able to reproduce in academics. It's pretty challenging enough to handle as such. So at the end of the day, your child's success is all about how actively and how positively are you involved with them. Some of the parents in your list also had asked a question for me saying that, how do I get to know that what my child is interested in? This was one of the questions I remember. I think he or she is totally confused. What are the career options available? Because I don't know. This was one of the questions from your end itself. So for all those parents, I totally agree. I'm also a parent. So I understand what parenthood is. But trust me, this is something which is an important involvement from your end. How do I help my child to traverse through this particular transition? The very first point is find the hook. You will have to observe them keenly. So this observation is so very vital that you just cannot discount that. So observe them very, very keenly and give them an undivided attention. I have witnessed some of the parents watching TV and the kid is doing something and you feel that you are with the kid, but eventually not. So it is not about watching a TV while you are cooking, you are sitting with the kid and you are doing something. It is not a multitasking activity. If you want to get to know your child, you will have to give them undivided attention when you are with them. That's the thumb rule. The next is a consistent engagement. It's just not about a day or two or a week. And there are parents whom I have, witnessed wherein they say that, yeah, we go ahead and we go out and I take them for a movie, I take them for a mall, and that's where we are spending time. My dear parents, this is not spending time. It is about just entertainment for them, which you are only facilitating. You are not spending time with them because they are just getting an element of entertainment through that particular mode. So please ensure when you define I'm spending time with my kid is an undivided attention. You are 100% with them. That's where you will find the hook. Again, the consistent engagement. You literally grow with them. And this is where your vital role actually gets established, and also you will get to know more about your own kids in that angle. Next aspect is the positive reinforcements. Acknowledge their efforts, irrespective. And again, another disclaimer over here is please don't overdo that because there are ill effects for this, and anything that they do, just don't exaggerate rather than acknowledging. The positive reinforcement is very, very consequent in their growth. Next, talk lightly and speak patiently. When I say talk lightly, it is also about on a lighter topics. It's about cutting a joke, involving them as a part of their communication. What do you think about this topic? What do you think about that particular topic? You know what? New Year is coming. The Deepavali is coming. It's a festival of lights. What do you think? Do you know the story of the festival of lights? Why do you think that we do this? Right from something which is a conceptual communication until the kind of getting to know their opinion, their views on a specific topic, their interest areas, whether be it gardening, be it craft making, name anything, all of them come over here in this category. Talk to them on a lighter note as well, because it's not like a serious topic 24/7. It's never that. And I know you will all do this, but consciously practice it is my only humble suggestion. So, and be super patient. Because, the kind of the frustration levels, particularly when we are working parents, I totally understand. And it's not an exaggeration. I would want to say this, and as a personal, experience as well. My father used to have a mountain of patience, and he uses this particular idiom that I have mountain of patience. If I have personally learned what is patience, the entire credit goes to my dad in that matter. They were extremely patient minded, and with the kind of, when I look back and when I see the kind of mistakes that I personally have done, the way they dealt with that, or to making me kind of a very confidential person, the kind of, confident person, and how assertive, and what is the kind of a self-esteem that I have grown with. This definitely does matter quite a lot. It also gives a different edge to the personality. The way that you communicate, you deal with the situation, because communication is a tool. Say, for instance, that there is an occasion where the child just spills the milk. There is a different way to deal with it. And there are parents who shout at it. There are parents who will just give a staring look, an angry look, and get the things done. And there are patients who patiently take it very lightly and say that the milk is for you, not for the floor. So there are various different ways to handle that. I'm 100% sure that you all have it, because you are genuinely involved, and it is there. It's an unconditional love that we give it all. But it is just that, is it consistent? That is something that I want you to question for yourself. It should be consistent. That's my suggestion. The next part of it is encourage, foster, and nurture. What are you supposed to encourage? What are you supposed to nurture is the kind of problem solving skills. So as I said, when you give them the kind of undivided attention, it's not about just the play, or I play with my child. Along with playing, please make sure that you also have some conceptual understanding of the subjects as well as a part of your problem solving. Analytical thinking, idea generation, and creativity. As you go forward in this particular session, I have also included one of the sections on what are the skills that you should nurture with your kids for the next 3 decades, where it will actually give you an edge for the careers. These 4 appear over there as well. So say, for instance, when it comes to problem solving, give them a riddle, give them a puzzle. That's more than enough. I just want their, I just want their minds to condition, or minds to think as a part of convergent, divergent thinking, idea generating. There is a kind of different solution for any problem. Problem solving is a very, very important. Trust me, I am a person from human resources, and that's a profession by choice for me. So being in the part of human resources, I have literally taken more than 4,000, 5,000 different interviews until today as a part of last 21 years. And in that, even today, when I see one of the resumes and they have a very awesome degrees and UG and PG, I feel very good at it. But the dire aspect and the dire challenge that we face today is the problem solving skills. I'm sure that any of you who are from the different sectors, be it IT or banking or insurance, if you're a part of interviewing, you will vouch my statement that of late, the kind of skills that we find in the kids, or the one who's hitting the market, we find it very evidently. I emphasize, problem solving is not something that can be developed overnight. It is a conditioning. It's a pattern of how we think, how we solve, and it needs to be nurtured at a very, very young age, and it should be a kind of a consistent growth. Obviously, when it comes to analytical thinking, how evaluative am I, and how critical am I in thinking is also something. Analyzing is all about analytical thinking, and next comes the idea generation and the solutions. So hundreds of ideas, but is it implementable? So that's something that's a gap in between. I can think of 100 different things, but what is practical enough is more important. That is where I am emphasizing of idea generation, not just theory, but how practical is it is also quite important there. Creativity, okay? Creativity is just not about the confined understanding of fine arts or performing arts or drawing or sculpting. I'm not speaking of, along with that creativity, with anything that you do, any small deliverable that you are involved in, creativity is very reflective in all these areas. So creativity is just a part of your life in anything and everything that you do. Even if you are setting your wardrobe, there is a creativity in it. Even if you are just putting your, redoing your bookshelf, there is a creativity in it. Creativity is a part of life, my dears. So please nurture that, and that's my the humble suggestion and advice as well. Atla, another very, very important is declare their independence consciously. I understand you feeling being protective about them. I totally get it. But making them independent is also very, very crucial for their life and during adolescence. So give them their independence, facilitate them, help them take decisions, and help them handle the aspects and encourage them. Be somebody who's being a supportive, being a supportful person, being an associate, and be a facilitator for them. But don't handhold and don't be so protective that they lose out on their independence and they are always dependent. Okay, somebody will have to be with me is not something which can go forward and for all the years to come. This is something which is important, which I have also evidently seen in many, many parents. Next, promote the skill development. When I say promote skill development, it is what do you do with your hands and the skills that you have. It can be any skills for that matter. So in the skills also we have something, what is using your knowledge and the skills together, or just the skills of how do you use your different ideas or different techniques or talents to come up as a part of the skill. Skill is anything and everything. Your music is a skill, your dance is a skill, your solving of a puzzle is a skill, anything can be that. But when you find the hook that gets attached with skill development is a very important aspect during their development, along with recognizing what your kid will be excellent at. And your role is very significant in that particular arena. Along with that, these are the do's. But when it comes to don'ts, it's also something very significant enough to adhere to, because there are blunders. It's just not mistakes. There are blunders that the parents do. What are that is the big time and all time no, 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 and never. You should never do this. Okay. We get you, as I told you, who said it's easy. Parenting is a lifetime project. I totally agree. Just because of that, one of the very prime aspect is your frustration is acceptable with anyone, but not with your child. So never ever get frustrated and let it not become a pattern that is so visible by your child in you that it will be a hindrance in approaching with you, talking to you, sitting with you, spending time with you. It should not be something that can be patronized, or it shouldn't become a conditioning in your child's mind to say that, no, come on, I don't want to go. They shout at me, they create a fuss out of it, etc. That should never become a kind of a belief, and that should not nurture. That should not get nurtured in your child's mind. I agree, you are frustrated, you are also working, you have great responsibility, all said and done. But your frustration can be with anyone, but not with your child. That's a norm. Next is stop comparing and start creating. Very important. Generally, I have also witnessed that if there are siblings, you tend to compare with other children, siblings, or the peer group. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this. Look at that child. Look at this child. Look at your friend's friend. I'm sorry. Look at your other friend's child. Comparing is very bad. What in case if I say that, okay, if I compare you with somebody else, how would you feel? The self-esteem of the kid actually just gets completely killed. And you should never do that. And how positively that would you reinforce is also subtly that you can go ahead to mention that, but you shouldn't be comparing as, okay, you shouldn't be a photocopy of that. So stop comparing and don't use the tool that probably there are some parents where I have seen that they have told me that, ma'am, if we compare, probably we think that they will get it right. Because they are being compared, their ego gets hurt and that's why they will excel. My dear friends, it is not so. It's just an assumption. And according to me, one of my very favorite sentences, assumption is a crime. Don't ever assume that assumption will raise the morality or the kind of challenging nature in your child to do more. No, it is not true. So don't compare. Again, another one important aspect is how equally both the parents take responsibility. It's not just my responsibility, it is just not your responsibility as a husband and wife. it is our responsibility. Both of you are really, really important. And as they grow old, particularly, the learning disabled and the slow learners, or the kind of the talented and the gifted child, the daughters need mothers to a very great extent in adolescence, and sons needs fathers to a great extent. So this is really, really important. You need to spend time, because they have hundreds of questions unanswered and they feel very annoyed. They just get carried away of where to approach, whom to approach, I don't know what it is, etc. Of course, they have the school, but you play a more important role in that angle. So it is our responsibility, and shoulder that equally. That's also one of my requests. Stop complaining and sow the confidence. The more you complain, the more you are killing their self-esteem. So please don't do that. And you're not done that. How many ever times that I've told you, you just don't listen to me. How many, you just don't get it. I just need to keep shouting. You just keep complaining about 100 different things. Can you give them the positive reinforcement and sow the confidence? You would be doing it. But my point over here is, how often do you do it, and how consciously will you do it? How regularly would you do that? And it should be persistent, consistent, and that's where the results are something which can be very, very clear. So that's where your role becomes very consequential in nature. Next is, as I have already mentioned, overprotection curves independence. So give them the secure feeling. It's not the other way. Please don't be overprotective for them. I will drop you there. Don't walk. Don't cross the road. This. Please help them do that. Oh, you cannot do this. There are parents I've seen that snatching away the things and putting them down there. How long would you take it? Just you don't get it. Okay, let me do it for you. No,
just a moment, Pratima. I may have to interrupt you a bit here. Just to give you a time check, it's been about 40 minutes now. So I just want to be aware. Okay?
Definitely.
Because parents are waiting to ask you questions too. So.
Okay, sure. I will just take 10 more minutes, Mridula.
Okay, fine.
Sure. So that's where these are the no and nevers, and this is where your role plays a pretty significant aspect in the entire bringing up, because I repeat, careers are made and built, and the tool for which is the mind of the child, the personality of the child, the skill of the child, and developing that as an abstract aspect, because what do they do as a part of a career is very concrete in nature, but the tool that they use is their knowledge, and they themselves as a part of their personality. That development is what I spoke in a couple of minutes for you, and I know I have spent quite a lot of time, because careers that can be changed as they go forward, my dear friends, but you bringing them up and the personality that you nurture becomes important, because the tool is just they themselves and their mind, and what do they grab and what do they absorb in it becomes very important in the entire traverse. So that is the thing that I would want to leave it. And of course, sometimes I really love this particular quote. Sometimes the real superheroes live in the hearts of the small children fighting very big battles. So as I mentioned, adolescence is very crucial period. It is something like what I could see is they literally, they are tying their lace to run for life. And you know that if at all I have not tied my lace in my shoes, what would happen? I might fall, and I might want to slow down and again re-tie, or I might just keep falling if I don't tie it properly. So it's an important phase where you are helping to tie the lace properly for the child to run for the life. And just imagine that particular phase, and they are actually fighting big battles. And please ensure that you help them